Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Good. My name is Maya. I am the legislative director for Senator Sonia Chang-Diaz. How are you all?
We are doing well. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. So I'll just start off by introducing us. So I'm Rohan Zaveri. I'm doing Doctor of Pharmacy course at Massachusetts College of Pharmacy, and I serve as the policy vice president for the American Pharmacists Association chapter at MCPHS. And I have with me my committee today, my policy committee. So I'll have them introduce themselves. Angie, would you like?
I'll go next. Hi, my name is Angie Kim. I'm also a third-year professional student in PharmD program at MCPHS University, and I serve as the chapter president of our university.
Shreya, would you like to go next?
Yeah. So my name is Shreya, and I am also in the same class as them. And I'm the international VP for APHASP and also a part of the policy committee.
Eric?
Morning, my name is Jen Wang. I'm a first year professional student at MCPHS University.
Yug?
Hello? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, just give me a second. Hello, hi, my name is Yug Patel, and I'm also fifth year PharmD, and I'm the policy committee, and I'm also a NODI board.
Great. You have Chris here. Chris, would you like to go?
Yeah, hi, my name is Chris. I'm also a first year P1 professional and PharmD at MCPHS Boston.
Great. Good morning, everyone. So glad to have you. Glad to have you all. We're also joined by Genesis Mantigua, who is working in our office this summer.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
I think there's a connection problem, right?
Yeah,
It looks like
your voice kind of broke off.
All right. So, now that we're all acquainted and tech problems should be good, excited to hear about your advocacy. You know, we've received several emails so far about putting patient first act and changes. So I'd love to hear more about that experience and that need or any other issues that you're working on right now.
Perfect. So we are here today to talk about PBMs and how they affect pharmacy. So our ask for today from the Senator's office is to support a prohibition on the DIR fees in any year-end legislative package and to end point of sale price concessions such as retroactive DIR fees to ensure consistency throughout all Part D benefit.
Could you potentially just break down the acronyms a little bit?
Definitely, yeah. That's where I was going next. So
Oh,
PBMs
great.
stand for pharmacy benefit managers, and they play an important role in healthcare markets by setting up pharmaceutical networks and adjudicating pharmaceutical claims. They serve as a middleman for plans between pharmaceutical manufacturers, retailers, and they are well positioned to control pharmaceutical costs. However, over the years, the PBM market has become a highly consolidated industry where focus is not on serving consumers, which are the patients, but on increasing company profits. Their anti competitive behavior on the part of the major PBMs has caused drug costs to skyrocket and harmed consumers and community pharmacists alike. So we are focusing on them. And now, what's the issue with PBMs is that's where the term, as I mentioned, retroactive DIR fees. So DIR fees are they stand, they are the fees that pharmacists have to pay to PBMs. So to put it in other terms, often the party sponsor or its pharmacy benefit manager received additional compensation after point of sale that serves to change the final cost of the drug for the payer or the price paid to the pharmacy for the drug. DIR are the fees that pharmacies may see PBMs charge outside of the administration fees and are generally collected after the point of sale. That's where the term retroactive DIR fees comes in. We see them in many forms. Fee is based, there's also fee which is based on pharmacy performance. This means that PBM can take back from the pharmacy of reimbursement cost in the name of arbitrary performance standards that frequently serve as a moving goalpost. So the pharmacists don't know why the fees are being taken away from them. The PBMs just tell them that, okay, based on certain performance standards, maybe there was a mistake in the claim that you file, even though that mistake doesn't cause a major effect on either the consumer or the care they provide to the consumer. PBMs come back months later and then say, okay, because of the standards that you did not meet, we are going to take back that money from you. And one of the most debated parts of the issue with DIR fees are clawbacks. Clawbacks are when the PBM charges a DIR fee after the point of sale. These charges are most likely a percentage of the total cost of the prescription and many times create a negative reimbursement for the drug dispensed. DIR fees are hard to predict as PBMs do not explain how they calculate performance-based DIR fees, as I mentioned. And so this fees may also come months later. This lack of transparency of what DIR fees are inhibits pharmacists' ability to implement new patient care services as they do not know whether they will be reimbursed or not. And they are also not able to provide enough patient care, enough services. What happens sometimes because this costs are taken back from the pharmacist, this also leads to closure of independent pharmacists or even community pharmacists. And if a pharmacy is placed in a rural setting, and suppose you have one pharmacy in a 10-mile radius, and if that pharmacy, then the issue arises is that patient have to travel now more than 10 miles to go outside and get access to another pharmacy, right? So there's a lot of problem that happens that they do not get access to drugs they have. There's also problems with adherence. They do not get that interaction between patient and pharmacy. And so these are like the effects that we see because of all these fees and because of how PBMs are treating the pharmacy. And yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. So I definitely understand the retroactive fees and things like that. I guess I'm a little bit confused about the pharmacy benefit managers and who kind of if you could give me a description of the role. So yes, there are community pharmacists. There are kind of the larger scale pharmacists through like Walgreens and things like that. And pharmacy benefit managers, are they connected insurance companies? Are they connected to the drug companies? I guess or to the sort of pharmacy chains themselves.
So PBMs, they are not particularly connected to just, you mentioned about the insurance, the manufacturers. They basically are the middle person, which serves in between. They are connected to the insurance, they are connected to the drug manufacturers, and they are also connected to the community or the retail pharmacy side of things. PBMs are there so that they can leverage their side to negotiate contracts between drug manufacturer and retail outlets. So they give rebates on certain drugs and are responsible for determining which drugs are covered by different healthcare plans.
Yeah, the examples of the largest PBMs in the United States are CVS, Express Scripts, United Health, Optum. Those are the big PBMs that really take monopoly, I guess, in the drug management, drug supply, how it's cost and how much the pharmacy ends up paying for these medications.
Awesome, thank you. That was super helpful from both of you. Also just thinking about, so first, I know that in terms of the senator's support on this issue, we have definitely supported limitations on clawbacks and retroactive payments previously. The legislature, the House didn't take it up, but the Senate took up an issue related to this around mental health access last session and preventing retroactive clawbacks for seeing psychiatrists and therapists. And I know that right now in the Senate version of the putting patients first, this is definitely still a concern. But just wanted to give you that background that we have definitely supported these issues in the past for exactly the reasons that you cited. It prevents equitable access to care and treatment.
Oh, that's really nice to hear. And as you mentioned, right, that when we talk about the cost from the patient side of things, so we explained to you how it affects pharmacists, but DRPs also lead to increased patient cost because the amount that Medicare patients pay for a prescription drug is supposed to be based on the cost of the drug. However, payers often calculate drug prices without subtracting the dollars that are taken back from the pharmacist in terms of the retrospective EAR fees. So this inflates patient drug cost because the calculation is based on a figure that is higher than what the plan really pays. So based on CMS cited that a fact that DR fees on pharmacy participating in Part D grew by 45,000 percentage between 2010 and 2017. And this significant increase in DAR fees create uncertainty for community pharmacists and the patient they serve, and they also jeopardize patient care because of the increase in drug prices. Patients tend to not buy the drugs because they simply cannot afford them.
Right. And that's definitely the worst case scenario, particularly given our current public health crisis.
Yes.
So in terms of the current bill that is dealing with this sort of language, I would love to hear kind of what we can do about that exact bill to address this issue.
I sort of missed your question there. The voice was breaking up. Can you please?
Yeah, definitely can repeat it. I was just mentioning, and I'm sure you're probably going to get to this part in the presentation, but in what sort of legislative vehicle can we address this issue?
Oh, perfect. So that leads to the next part, which we are going into. So there is a hearing, an argument that is currently being heard in the Supreme Court regarding this. So it happened yesterday, and this is a landmark hearing which is discussing the role of PBMs and whether or not they should be regulated by the state. It is called the Rutledge versus PCMA, where Leslie Rutledge, Attorney General of the state of Arkansas, is serving as a petitioner, and the respondent is the Pharmaceutical Care Management Association, PCMA, which represents association PBMs. And would any of you want to explain more about this case?
I could go if.
Sure.
So the Supreme Court hearing that started yesterday, so the fundamental is kind of what Rohan went over, and it's also about an act that was passed back in, I would say 1974.
Okay.
It's called the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, and part of it is that it federally regulates health insurances, and this act currently supersedes the state's laws to regulate PBMs. And we really think that states having more control to regulate PBMs would really prevent these practices that forces patients with less accessible healthcare management. The PBMs have been really forcing independent pharmacies, especially, to close their doors. So the Supreme Court hearing is about allowing states to have regulation over PBMs rather than the federal regulations that we currently have under the ERISA Act.
Thank you. That's super helpful. And definitely jarring to know that we are still acting under laws from the 70s on an issue that is very, very modern.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely true. Do you have any other questions regarding PBMs, or any other questions related to this topic?
Yeah, I guess my question would be in terms of preventing clawbacks and retroactive fees. So I know you mentioned that it is kind of arbitrarily connected to pharmacy performance standards. And so does that just come in the form of just like a notice to the pharmacy, like, hey, you owe this money to the pharmacy benefits manager? And I guess my next question is kind of, how does a pharmacy, particular an independent pharmacy, get into a relationship with the PBM?
So going off with your last question, talking about how the independent pharmacy gets in relationship with the PBM. So as PBM, they have a major role in deciding the drug cost between the manufacturer and also with the healthcare plan. So what happens in certain situation is that PBM serve kind of as a boss. So independent pharmacy has to have has to have a contract with the PBM so that they can get access to the drugs
Right.
in a discount, to be put in other words, in a discounted price from the drug manufacturers, right? And to get access to those drugs, the pathway goes through passing from PBMs. So they have to get in association with the PBMs. Now, when they get in association with the PBMs, PBM has a contract with them, and in that contract there are certain gag clauses which are placed, which are not so clear, and that is where they have this certain, because as an independent pharmacy they have to get those drugs and they depend on the PBMs, and now the PBMs put this DAR fees, they put different kinds of performance standards for the pharmacy that they have to meet, and this standards change. So PBMs can come back later and they are like, okay, we have this contract, you did not meet this standard, so because of those we are taking back this reimbursement fees that we were supposed to pay. So it works in that kind of fashion. And going off to your first question, I'm not too sure how that works, but I can definitely get back to you. If anyone else would like to would like to provide more insights on that, please go ahead.
Well, what was the first part about again?
My first question was about, like, how do they get sort of how do pharmacists receive a notice, or how is it communicated to them about from the PBMs that they have clawbacks or retroactive payments, fees?
I think this is a really great question, and I can after this meeting, I'll definitely get back to you on that, on how that works.
Awesome. Great.
Thank you so much for asking question and sharing your support on this.
Definitely. Well, I think those are all my questions. I'm gonna put my email in the chat just so you have my direct email, because it's a lot easier to get a lot quicker to get a response from me than from the senator. But I will definitely be telling her about this case and the need to be vocal about this. And if she has any additional questions, I'll definitely be in touch. Like I mentioned in the beginning, we're definitely getting some advocacy from pharmacists around these issues. So definitely keep up the advocacy. You know, we hear it, we hear you. And, you know, this is such an important role just generally, but definitely with this public health crisis, even more important. So definitely hear that how this is a big part of access to treatment and care for a lot of folks.
Thank you so much for your time. And also after this meeting, I'll send you a summary of the talking points that we just went over, so you can refer back to them as well. And I'll get back to you with the question also. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a good have a good week. And I hope you have a long weekend.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. Take care.
Thank you.